The Eagles have now lost 25 of their last 27 games, and with their age, experience, and lack of young talent in a few drafts before the last couple, it is seemingly more trouble on the horizon for the boys from the West. But just how bad are things, and what can they do to turn things around in both the short, the medium, and the long term? Let's have a chat. Like it says in the intro, guys, a like on the video means more people will be able to see it, and a subscribe gets you a part of the Daz Talks footy family. But the Eagles seemingly escaping a little bit of the criticism from an East Coast-based footballing media. One of the good things about being Victorian biased, as so many fans get to call it. But the Eagles right now are, and I think this is pretty easy to say, a shit show. It is a shit show. Now, part of it is their fault, part of it is not. And if you think I'm going to spend the next however long this video goes for bashing the Eagles, I promise you I am not. I actually have a lot of sympathy for the Eagles on the pure basis that my team is this team, the Hawks, who got criticised for doing what West Coast didn't. Hawthorn were criticised, ridiculed, and even mocked by mainstream footy media and opposition fans for not trading Tom Mitchell and Jaeger O'Meara at the end of 2021. Cut to the end of 2022, Hawthorn did do that, regardless of what you think of the trade packages. They still got rid of them and prioritised the youth, and now they've cut too deep. You can't win. The problem is that you need to find ways to win on the field. And West Coast can't seemingly do that. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, Daz, it's one game. Come on. Come on. Yes, it may be North, but come on. One game. What if they come out and win this week? Or the next week? Or yada yada? I completely agree. But at the end of the day, a club like West Coast is a club that's used to winning flags. Not forgetting that since they came into competition in 1987, they've already won 4 flags. That's not a fluke. One of them being 5 years ago. They're now bad. That's not a bad thing at all. 2018, they won a flag. There have only been 10 teams to win a flag this century. They're one of them. It's fantastic. It's great. Nothing can take away from that, nor should it. But at this point in time, they're in trouble, and that needs to be talked about as well. But the big problem, seemingly from media and opposition fans, was the Tim Kelly trade. Now, the Tim Kelly trade was easy to criticise at the time because people thought they traded too much. Or it's easy to criticise now because in hindsight, it just hasn't worked. Regardless that Tim Kelly's had a good game here or a good game there, whichever one that you want to comment below if you really hate the video and go, you don't know what you're talking about because of this game, where he had 33 and kicked whatever. That's fair. But in hindsight, it hasn't worked. But that's not a bad thing at all. Let me give you an example in the NFL. Now, I know NFL's not everyone's cup of tea and don't click away, but the Carolina Panthers have been in a quarterback hellhole for ages. Trust me, the great man Smithy, one of the great men of Daz Talks footy and a great contributor, is a Carolina Panthers fan. He knows this more than anyone else. But guys like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, all of these kind of guys, PJ Walker, that have just been no good at the quarterback position. Carolina have got pick 9 in this draft. Well, had before they traded 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and wide receiver DJ Moore to get up to that first spot. They're now in control. They can pick their quarterback for the future. And again, whether it works or not, and they pick the right guy or not, at this point in time, Panthers fans are happy. When West Coast traded for Tim Kelly, he'd come off a magnificent season. He wanted to get home. He got to his destination. And West Coast tried something. They did. That is a lot better than clubs, and yes, name them Bob, I will, St Kilda and Essendon that keep putting their eggs into multiple wrong baskets, or guys that have been around the fringes and not done anything for a while. I would much rather be a West Coast fan than St Kilda, Essendon, North, GWS, Gold Coast. There are so many clubs that you could name right now. And that's perfectly okay. That is perfectly fine. And Eagles fans, the most self-aware of them, I hang around on Reddit, I consume way too much fan and footy media in and of itself anyway. But Eagles fans know where they stand. They know that success has now cost them 5 years later, and what can they do? Well, they gutted themselves in the draft a little bit in getting Tim Kelly in, but their last 2 drafts have been really good. We saw Campbell Chesser for the first time. Okay, he was quiet. It was his debut game. Ruben Jinby laid a dozen tackles. Tick. He's going to be fine. He needs to play every game he's fit. I was really impressed with Noah Long. West Coast know their ruck stocks are not that good. That's why they drafted Harry Barnett. Right? Rhett Bazzo has shown signs. Jack Williams is going to take a little while. He's a taller player. So there are some foundation pieces there. Or foundation pieces that can hopefully grow into the next premiership team. What I'm basically trying to tell you is West Coast now or Hawthorn last year? The problem is for as little value on the outside that Hawthorn got from a Tom Mitchell and Jaeger O'Meara, the Eagles could just as well get even less for the likes of Elliot Yeo. So that's where they're stuck. They're stuck in the way that no one is going to want the recycled players that they've got because they can't get on the park. Now, is that a medical issue? I have no way of knowing. But it's no lie. Elliot Yeo can't get on the park. The other problem with West Coast, and this is why I put him in the front of the thumbnail as the coach, Adam Simpson has 3 years left on a deal. I hate coaches that get long-term deals. Yes, even Clarko while he was at Hawthorn, before anyone asks. But I hate it because it's the coaches that go all out in their last year that make their teams the best. How's Ken going in his final off-season of this contract, getting Jason Horne-Francis, Junior Rioli? It's worked out pretty well in round 1. 3 years to go on Adam Simpson's contract, and they're in the toilet. It's not looking that well. Now, what can West Coast do on the field? Well, they've got to keep growing the kids, and they're going to do that, and that is absolutely fine. But in my opinion, guys like Jaden Hunt shouldn't have been picked up in the first place, but right now need to come up the ground. Jaden Hunt needs to be on a wing or half forward, in my opinion, because his ball use is not matching his pace at all. Running 20 and kicking 40 to an opposition player does not get the job done at all. Just doesn't. I'm really sorry, Eagles fans. It just doesn't. But what would I do? Daz, you've come up with some problems. Let's hear some solutions. Well, Jack Petruccelli, for a start, I think needs to go to halfback. He's younger than Jaden Hunt. He's quicker than Jaden Hunt, which is saying something. And it'll be a really good chance for him to get some confidence in the game and his own game by getting more of the footy. Campbell Chess is going to be absolutely fine. But guys like Shannon Hearn, Tom Barrass, and Jeremy McGovern are not doing what they need to do with footy in hand. The other problem that they've got is their ability to defend from arc to arc is abominable. North turned the ball over plenty of times, as did the Eagles. The problem is that North punished them on turnover a hell of a lot more than West Coast did. With the footy, West Coast look boring. And without the footy, there are big periods of games where they look like witches' hats. They need to get their quicker players behind the ball. And if that costs Shannon Hearn a spot in the team, so be it. But right now, guys like Rhett Bazzo need to be taking the club forward. And if Jeremy McGovern wants to finish his career with Mitch, send him to Carlton as a free agent. Is it harsh? Potentially. Is it necessary? Yes. West Coast hanging around is not going to be the right thing for this footy club. Finishing 14th and 15th is going to do nothing for them. Simply because the experienced guys are taking up younger blokes' spots. And the younger blokes are being played out of position because their right position is being taken up by a 28-year-old that can't get on the park. Personally, I'm not sure if Adam Simpson is the man, but if they're locked into that contract, they've just got to keep going. Keep trying and keep persevering. But right now, they desperately need more than anything, health. A healthy West Coast and a young West Coast will produce football that is fitting to rival Freo and make WA footy shine again, because after round 1, both Fremantle and West Coast have come out of this round looking pretty bad. And the same can be said of Queensland as well. But is it all doom and gloom for the Eagles? No, their last 2 drafts have been good. There's no evidence to suggest that won't continue in the future. But it's the fact that they're keeping guys because they have to, that are too injured to be on the park, is a huge concern. They desperately need more midfielders who can stay on the park and provide a bit of X factor. I hope Ruben Jinby can find more of the footy instead of having to tackle, but he is 30th on the list of worries right now, and that could actually be 300th. So it's not doom and gloom, Eagles fans. Coming from a Hawthorn fan, it's not doom and gloom. Losing by 10 goals to Essendon sucked. Watching Cam Mackenzie, and for you, watching Ruben Ginbey, would have been worth it. But where's the rest of the youth? Where's the rest of the spirit? Where's the rest of the fight? And Hawthorn don't have many veterans, but Luke Bruce and James Sicily were awesome. Amon and Wingard were pretty good. How were your old blokes? How were they travelling? Luke Shuey was good. Tom Barras did his job. Are the others that effective? I'm not so sure. But that's it for this one, guys. Comment below. Let me know what you think. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to join the Daz Talks Footy family. I hope you're having a fantastic week. I will see you in the next video. Probably a reaction to the Thursday night game. If not, hey, I'll think of something. Goodbye.